You were outside just a little bit ago. I don't want to hear it.
Was I?
Nah, I was talking to the dog, man. He's starting to whine next to me. I've let him out twice this morning already. And it's never enough for this dog.
You need to go running with him, mate. Tire him out.
He's not very good on the leash, believe it or not. And I need to work on that. That's on me to work on it a little bit more. But he does really well when there's another dog on a leash. But
really, normally that's when they do bad.
The other dog's really well trained on the leash, so he's pretty good about following him.
Okay, I'm with you. Oh, when you're with another dog, not when there's another dog on the side of the road or something like that. Come on, tap that gold pocket for us, please. One of a kind is first.
Yeah, I need to get this over into social media.
Guys, if you can hear a fan in the background, let me know and I'll just kick my fan away from it. But it's absolutely red hot where I am, so it's on. So if you can hear it, let me know and I'll turn it off.
I always wonder that about mine as well.
I can't hear yours, but I can just see that my speaker's picking up something. So.
All right. Well, I mean, there's not much to talk about, but we'll talk about it, right? I say that every morning.
We do so well at coming on and not having much to talk about, then talking for an hour. I don't know how we do it.
What are you talking about? I would never do that.
We don't have much to talk about. Hour and a half later. Well, I think we've talked about enough here every time.
I'm going to give me like 2 seconds. I'm going to go to let the dog out the back slider because he's not going to stop whining. You want to go outside? Come on. Let's go.
One of a kind. I've pushed it away, so hopefully that's not, you can't hear it at all. Well, Magic's messing about with his dog. I can just bosh. Just quickly, while we're waiting for Magic. The previous day 4 of Magic's technique has been pretty key today. Caught the bottom, and we're at the top now. Now, if we break the top, we have a gold pocket coming in. It's very close. The gold pocket's just above it. We've actually not tapped it yet. We also have I think it's the 21 4-hour EMA. Don't know for sure. Magic will confirm, but it's the Bay EMA known in the group because it's on the 50-minute time frame. It's 3:10. It's literally amazing for giving little reversals and stuff. And that's if Magic's back, I'll let him continue. I'll let him go first. But that's just what I wanted to say in the immediate in case it happens.
What am I talking about here? Sorry, I just got back.
Now I was just doing what could happen if we break out of the previous day 4.
Well, we talked about it last night. We got the take profit last night. We were talking about filling in some of those candles, right? And oops, I stopped sharing my screen. Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, Chris Jacob, this is a public stream. So normally we're going to try and do public streams in your morning if you're in America. For everyone else, it's afternoon.
Yeah, we do some public streams. We had been doing them more consistently with CVO in the mornings, but we kind of got away from it this last week. But we did our public live last night, so we'll continue to kind of make sure we sprinkle in a couple of those here and there. So, all right, cool. My stream is showing. Looks like everybody's got. Yeah, awesome. So I've just been playing the previous day levels. You guys know that we were looking for this pocket right here last night. That was a big take profit for me. I think it was, I went short in this region because, well, it was the value area high of the prior day. There was just a lot up there to really say this was going to be a good short. And then take it down to the lows of the range. Also backfill this here, even though you got a nice front run here, you really didn't do anything. And so 29.3 was the invalidation on that, though. For anyone that recalls, we were talking about 29.3. Why 29.3? It was quite simple. You were just looking at your overall POC here of the range. Also lines up with your local sessions that you could have easily worked out, especially if you're in the group and you know how we use these sessions. You can see where those are coming in at, right? So we can just easily determine that this was the area. Before it was marked out with a box, but we'll just leave it where it is. So we did front run the target just a little bit here, but again, getting back above that to me is like really the first signs of what you need to do. And we talked about this 29,800 level here. Main reason being is that if we go out to a monthly, and there's only a few days left in the month, and some of those are coming in on the weekend, so we'll see what we get. But you can see that, well, this is going to be an important level, and 28,726. So this little $1,000 box here, you could easily mark this off and just say this is the most important resolution area on the chart right now, and we'll get rid of all these other boxes because we don't need them for now, and then go down to like a 1 hour, and this is going to be it. And you can see that had you just marked this off, it's going to be very similar to what I did for you guys back in December, if you recall, when we dumped. So when we dumped in December, this was the area you needed to settle up on, right? For now, I gave you guys one doom chart and then one doomsday chart, kind of two ideas. And the idea behind this was that we would follow this trajectory, but the levels that were given were 45.9, 47.6K. I gave those on my Twitter even, and told you guys that, well, the most important level to hold on a closing basis is going to be 45.9 and 47.6. These are high time frame, time points controls and POCs from merged ranges. And then I just have like a timeline on here for reversals into this area. We got it. The problem was we said, what are we looking to do is come back up, challenge this region of the chart. If lost, it's pretty bearish. And obviously this was a really nice rejection zone. So you had to be looking for shorts in this area. And now you're down to where? Macro support from a prior range. Look at this, saying we really need to base out of this area. If we lose it, right, you can see that when we lost this area, we got the next leg down. So you really need to see price holding on to this region. Ideally, recovering 29,800 would give you a cause, and I'll get rid of this stuff here. This chart's no longer needed. Would give you a cause for some type of a move upwards into the next area of interest, which pretty well defined. So yeah, that's it for the high time frames. Very simple stuff. You don't need to make it too complicated. This is the level on the chart that's got to hold. That's why you're basing here. These are macro areas that was once the confirmation low for a pump, right? And we actually traded this very nicely. It can also be seen on the high time frames, which makes it even more, for lack of a better word, which I'm probably not using it, but efficacious, effective, right? That's why this is an effective level. And then you've got the June lows, which the reason that's important is if you flip the old range lows into resistance, that's really not a good sign. It's definitely not a good sign to flip range lows. And then you could really, you wanted to dive deep into ranges, you could, if you track them like we do anyway, you could go back in time and you could say, well, where's my POC? Meaning that we've got to get back above what? 32.9, 32.8, which we use this same technique to find the exact low for this box. If you guys recall, this was the chart. Well, a lot of this is probably not necessary to have on there. So let's get rid of that and that. And that needs to come back, but we'll get rid of this too. But you can see this was our box based on Fibonacci and based on volume. And what do we need to do? Well, if we were looking at this from a range standpoint, if this little $1,000 box resolves to the upside, I would imagine we're going to back test the POC of that old range and the bottom of our old structure. And that is where things get really, really interesting. If you're more of a local day trader, which I tend to be as well as Max at times, I cover a lot of the high time frame ideas. That's a pretty high time frame idea. A local idea, though, if you were looking for something more locally available, you would want to be trading this box. It does come in short of this level, but you can see that this has been also local resistance where people have been selling. So you just have to be aware of that area. You can't just chalk it up to we're going to go up through these levels and whatnot. But, the profile, and I'm only bringing up the high time frames because we're coming into a high time frame closure, kind of like we did last night. The profiles are giving you a pretty good indication of what you want to be seeing out of price action going forward if you just stay somewhat organized on them. You can see that, well, should you break above these levels and start holding these high volume nodes here that are building up on these profiles, both all the sessions, right? One would assume that, well, we would get this test, and it's in a low volume area. There's not much here. So one would, maybe think that we would come all the way up into this region right around 35K, which is the gap, right? That's your gap. I think it is seen here on this template. I've got them marked out. And this is something we've been talking about for like the last 2 weeks, obviously. But the thing is, you do have a gap beneath you that still needs to be filled. You've only partially filled this one now. So we've got a remaining gap, which would fill out the rest of that box, if you guys recall, which is just support. So that's all I've really got. I say that every day. The day trade stuff is just an easy. The best play was still a short. And I'm not normally going to be the one that tells you to put on shorts in this region of the chart. So for me, they've all been day trades, making sure that you're paying yourself accordingly. Hanging on to some of the position, but not all of it, and then just doing what you're supposed to. So 29,300 remains very, very important to get back into that 29,800 region. If you're being a little more conservative, you would want to see that regained, and I'll get rid of these profiles to clean things up a little bit before you get any kind of a back test of macro areas. But that's how it'll work on a range basis. So the key is going to be watching the order flow, trading the confirmations. As long as we break through this area and have the open interest in things that we need to see for the move, then you could justify maybe trying to swing this a little bit higher rather than just taking profits at the high of the range, because you do have some untapped levels up here that could present problems. Not problems, but good trades. Up here in like the 31K region. I don't think that we officially actually got a piece of this guy. I think we actually front ran it a little bit. Yeah, there's a slight front run of the level. So there are some things up here to take note of, and if we were to look at other, things, tools, we have targets for both up and downside. So this little local range resolution will be fairly important in my opinion, and that's all it is my opinion, but sometimes they're all right. They're decent, That's all I've got, Max. If you want to go over some of your local stuff, any order flow, anything like that.
Yeah, let's do it. I've got 4 things to talk about that I could take note of. So let me just make the screen bigger. Thank you. So I just had the tea delivered, which is awesome. Okay, yeah. So in the immediate, what I just wanted to talk about, I briefly mentioned how we're just below the gold pocket. You've got the Bay EMA there, which is the 310 15-minute EMA. It's like always offers bounces and it's always resistant. Really great EMA to watch. We also have the first thing I actually wanted to mention was if we do lose the daily open here, we have a load of longs event. So just below the daily open, we have 4.1 million market longs there, just below 2.1, 4.2. Like there's a considerable amount of market longs in this candle here, which losing this daily open, it isn't ideal for the upside. They've come in these 2 candles here. So the further down that you go, the more longs will be put underwater. Tends to not be a good thing when your favorite upside having longs underwater, has to be said. And look, in these 2 candles here, though the delta is equal, you have to think, okay, if open interest is increasing, that is longs. For open interest to increase, both longs and shorts have to have entered for the contracts to increase. And we can see them there, and they're already underwater. So yeah, we need to claim the daily open and, test that gold pocket. Now, in that gold pocket region, if we don't trap these longs and head down, actually just quickly, on the 15-minute time frame where we know we have the statistics built for the PVA candles, we have just put in a PVA candle all the way down to 28,951. Not crazy size-wise. It's not like a mile away. They have somewhat 95% I think the red candles have 95% fill rate, or the green ones, sorry. So the green candles have 95% fill rate. On average, I think in total it was like 90%. So yeah, in the next day. So chances are that one gets, that one gets taken out. So Rivalry just took profits and pumped us back above the daily open on his short. Thank you for that, mate. Brilliant. And then, yeah, so what we have above us, the gold pocket, the EMA, and above the gold pocket, if we can break above here and hold above this region, which Magic said like 29,300 is a pretty key level. In my opinion, if we can take this high and get into the 30K, then you've had a bit of a change in market structure on a higher term time frame. If you look at it, it's always been making the lower highs, lower lows. But if we can take this high before we take this low, it's always good, because then you can play the game of, once you've taken this high, okay, are we going to put in a lower, a higher low, once you've taken this high. But if you do stall here and come back down, chances are we're going to the golden pocket that's down in this 27,500 region. So it's a pretty key time right now, to be honest with you. And like Magic actually said before the stream, if we dump through the weekend, it's not going to look very good. And it's not, and we're coming towards the weekend now. So, it has to be noted where the close is for today, for where the CME gap is, and all them, important stuff. I actually don't have anything else. It's pretty brief. I think I talked about most of it this morning on our main stream that we did. But yeah, if we zoom out and have a look at it overall, like I said last night, for everyone that didn't watch, though this was quite a sharp drop in the open interest, if you really zoom out, and I'm on 5 minutes here, I need to go up to 15 minutes. If you really zoom out, I'll turn right top because otherwise it just gets disgusting. It wasn't crazy amounts of positions taken out when we took that low. I thought, it might have been more as we've taken, the bottom of the low of the range. Stop. Sorry, I just had someone running my dog around. As we took the low of the range here, I thought we'd have more of a washout of longs. But if you're looking at the CVD and the delta, the CVD and the open interest, it actually wasn't that large amount of positions, which, if you don't change the market structure here and start to test the upside, really, if you come down here again, you're probably going to take the low, in my opinion, due to the fact that the washout that they took from here wasn't a considerable amount for them to want to take it higher. So what they're going to do, they're going to take it down even lower to then draw in more shorts, knock more longs out of their positions. And in reality, where they have to do that is they have to take it to the low. Everyone is watching that golden pocket. Okay, everyone wants that golden pocket. So when they get it to there's going to be a lot of positions opening up. Now, we said in a stream previously that if you hit the golden pocket, come up and fail to reclaim the range lows, which is around 28,600 region, if you fail to reclaim that level and you reject that, you have to think about all the longs that would have entered on the reaction from that gold pocket, all the people that would have set limit orders there, thinking like literally since we made that dump down here on the 12th of May, people have pulled their gold pocket and would have set their limit orders there, because Fibonacci is one of the key tools that everyone that's somewhat successful will use, Fibonacci retracements. So people will have their limit orders set there. And once people see a bounce from there, people will start buying, like myself included, will buy on a reaction from a gold pocket. But if you fail to reclaim this level because of all the positions, all the longs that will have been underwater trying to get out for a minimum loss, and then you come back down, you've got all the liquidity that have entered at 27,500 that you can then push and get even more positions, stopped out when you take this low. It's a very interesting thing to think about. If you're always chasing the liquidity, how could you really get maximum amount of liquidity? And it's take it to that gold pocket, pump it up so people think they're safe and now's the time to enter the positions, and then drive it down again. And then once you get to the lows, once you break below that golden pocket, you're going to have people entering short. Have lots of positions closing at entry, because that's what people do. I used to do it. It's called scratching your trade. They have loads of people closing at entry as they get below and trying to get out for a minimum loss. And as you really take that low, that's when you're going to have that's when you're going to have the, the maximum amount of liquidity down here. Because I thought if we took the lows, that could be the causation for us to, then go higher. But the fact that we'd failed to take the high here of this little range somewhat, if we don't, we really need to start pushing higher here. Otherwise, that is going to be the story of what comes down when we come down to it down here. You're going to put pressure on all the longs. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll have to see where it goes from here and what happens over the weekend. It's quite important, to be honest with you. The close tonight and what occurs over the weekend. But if we just range, which is always possible, doesn't really tell us too much unless the the CVD and the open interest is very telling. If there's more longs entered, I favour us to go down. If people are shorting, I favour us to go up. I normally like to go wherever the masses aren't going. Tends to work out quite well. But yeah, in the immediate, looks like we've held the daily open. If I put the mark back on, we claimed the daily open, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens at this golden pocket. Magic, are you going to run through some alts? He's probably taking his dog out or something. But yeah, if we have
no, I just got to switch back and hit the unmute.
I see. But yeah, what do you think if we got down that?
About what?
If we went down to the lows again, down to that golden pocket.
It depends on how we get there.
I've been talking about it a lot, but what do you think? I actually don't know.
It really depends on how we get there. If we went there just straight away right now, I think you'd have to monitor the reaction. I would not preset orders because at that point, I would be more apt to think that we would just take the lows, to be honest with you. I think that if people are buying in this range, it would stand to make sense that we would come down and challenge into the low. But there's always the concept if we go down there and maybe people start selling off and get aggressive where they shouldn't be and get trapped, and then it runs back to the highs. I'm really not trying to speculate on either one of them. I'm just trying to be in a good position when either move arrives, and we know what we need to watch in order to be in that position. It's the June 22nd low from 2021 and 29,800, 726 and 29,800. Those are the levels. Once that little area resolves, we're going to get our next move, either up to back test old resistance or down to retest the low of the range, which I could care less which one it is as long as I get to be on the right side of it. But yeah, that's it. I don't speculate too much in that regard. I kind of leave that to you. Well, it's one of those things.
I tried to do more of the low time frame stuff, but
you are more of a low time frame trader than I am. I do not get into that. I just I look at the macro areas because it allows me to get in a good position for either scenario, and then I can just be patient, and whichever way it goes, I don't really care. That's how I look at it. I've taken the best trade available, and I'm allowed to let that ride a little bit. Which, when I'm not in a group, when this for a fact, when we had just a Discord and it was just me, you, and a couple of degenerates in there, I day trade, 3-4 times a day. At that point, I'm scalping a lot. But when there's more people and there's more things to be done, I don't really have the time to get in and scalp and all this and that. So I've been doing more of I wouldn't say swing trading, because there are still day trades to be had, but I'm not day trading nearly as much. I'm doing more of a swing trade type thing where positions might run for a couple days at a time, which I know makes you kind of, uncomfortable. But
I just don't do it.
Yeah, if you're not used to doing it, it's something that you have to get used to. That's for sure. But I would personally, if I had a preference, I would like to go up from here. Everybody's looking at a descending triangle. It reminds me a whole lot of, I think Rivalry's putting it out, and we kind of touched on it. I'll share my screen and we'll go over it one more time here. But if I had a preference, not that my preference means anything, my preference would be to, again, we'll come back to this idea, and we're on the daily. Great. Let me go back to this folder and just turn these on. Very similar. lots of people were very bearish here, and you got a pump out of support. I wouldn't hate the same thing. Something like you had a very clear, falling wedge here where it was just a compression of price, right? You're just looking to see this break out eventually at macro support. You got very similar structure, right? Some people are going to call it a descending triangle. Some are going to call it something else. You could make the argument for both. Wedge. You break out of this, you come up, maybe take the highs here locally and then dump back down into the range. And then it redistributed and got its next leg down, right? So very similar to what you were discussing where, gets everybody excited, takes maximum liquidity, right? And you've got everybody very bearish into the lows, really grinded it out. Several swing failure patterns here, the lows, multiples. And then up to the highs, take the high, which this is right when I joined CVO and took this trade with them. And really you were watching one level, and it was this one right here at 50,898 on the daily. This was the level I'd given, and you can see why. You never closed above it. This was a nice indicator of what was going on. So even if you missed this whole move, right, and a lot of people did, you missed that whole move, you could have very easily still traded this and been like, well, I mean, we know that we had a high time frame key level here. The Q1 average is there, 49,522. Got the back test, push above the overall high now here at 51,957. And I believe there was a weekly range that I had built going back in time here to December 27th, right? And I believe it's this guy. And I think we could probably go down to like a 4-hour and see it best. It's either this one or the one before. And I know this is getting extra hairy now, extra ugly, because we're really kind of diving into the nitty gritty, but might as well, since we're here. There it is. This is what I had ended up shorting right here. The loss up here on the back test, you had one really nice back test of this local level here. Okay, 51,495. I got in on this. And then once you lost this top of the range, you locally could start working it out that you had an NPOC all the way down here at 48.6. Knowing that you've reclaimed the range, you were coming all the way back down more than likely to 46.9 and then probably 45,555. And that was my final take profit. Very similar situation could arise here. It's just something you have to be aware of. They don't have to trade the same. I should state that, you can't expect things to always play out the same way. That would be foolish to think so, actually. But, if a similar scenario arose, where does that put us? At that point, what are you doing? You're marking out your highs, right? And we'll change this to white because we need to see that a little bit better. And you would just say, well, I need to have alerts on all of these. And that sounds absolutely redundant and ridiculous. You could start saying which ones have the most confluence. Well, again, we talked about the untapped level here at 31,253. We have a TPO.
Could you argue that you faked out the low?
Huh?
Could you argue that we've done a fake out of the low there?
Yeah, you could argue that. But I mean, as soon as you lose this level here at 28,726, you can't really argue that anymore.
Is crypto Twitter like talking about this? Or have they not spotted it?
I have no idea. So I don't actually follow crypto Twitter too much. But I mean, you have a very clear pattern that looks like a descending triangle. I think this is the more valid of the two. It's just, again, if you're a patterns trader, you're trading with probably the worst odds in all of trading, because these even at best are like 65% to 68% win rates. I wouldn't say that's the worst, but it's not great. It's pretty close to a coin flip. If you're a good trader, you can get in the 70s and 80s actually. If you're day trading
inside it.
Yeah, trading inside of it, or just waiting. But yeah, I think this pattern is going to ultimately, when it resolves, it's just a compression. Until you actually do anything material wise and get back above 29,800, which now we know why 29,800 really is the most important level. Early signs are going to be 29,300, just because we're looking for volume-based targets here. It's range bound, but as soon as one of these two levels gives, you're going to get your next momentum move. And we know that our target initially is going to be that 27.5 region, which again, you've said it before, if you can't make money on $1,000 move, you know, what are you doing? Same for here. If you break the high here, well, there's a decent chance you're probably going to come up here to this local high here at 31,385. Obviously, we have a day trading level in between there, you know, like a local level, but oh, where is that guy at? There it is, 31,273. It's also your merged TPO value area low. And then 31,773 above that. And you can see that you can start getting closer and closer to this edge of that box we were talking about. Monitoring to see if maybe we take the highs, very similar to a fractal, I think that Reed even posted, you know, where you get these moves and you can see that time and time again, you know, right here, boom, up, take the high. Then you're just waiting for confirmation to come back down. You just have to have some kind of a marker, whether it's something like this or local ranges that you're working off of, some kind of an indicator to let you know that the move has been started. And we did this actually for one of the more recent trades, right? So when we were trading up here, if you recall, there was a Dalton in play, right? We had a Dalton that was in play, and it looked like so because the range high on that was 39.5, which that's pretty close. And then the range low on it was 38,000 actually, which, you know, looked like really good support still. It was a pretty wide Dalton. And the POC was 38.5 actually, if I recall. Yeah, 38.5 on that one. And so you could have said that this was the in POC we were looking for. This was the range we were looking to find acceptance in. And as soon as it did, which you can see, these are 4-hour candles. So as soon as it did, what did you do? You dumped straight through the range. So anyone that was looking to take longs in this region, which had been prior support, we're now screwed. And we were looking at this in terms of macro support, right? And so now you have to be able to blend the high time frames in and say, you know, what is really going on here. And I think we were looking at this level, and we were looking at the 37,700, which I may have deleted that level, to be honest with you, but we could figure that out pretty quick. We'll just do this. We'll just call it 37K right here, right? This is your level. You can see how now coming back into this level, you've trapped extra longs, maximum liquidity, like you said, and then this was the trigger for that short. This gave you the best short if you missed the one up here from the order block that we'd had initially, which we traded that one really well. Everyone was pretty sat and prepared for it. It's just you got a very, very long consolidation. And so when I gave this setup the day before, and I was, you know, my ideal situation would come up and then down, it was really looking for something like this to kind of not confirm what you're looking to do, but give you the entry and the way to make it an actionable setup. And so then the actionable setup became real. You're able to take these shorts, and you're just taking the best trade in the probability trade, you know, because we knew the probabilities of this are, you know, close to 80% playing out, and we knew the context was there, and this is what you get. You know, that's how you get those fake outs. So when people are always saying like, when will I know if it's a fake out? You know, that's how those setups start. And it's really more of a theory type thing, and you get used to playing those once you get used to range trading. So if we were to get something similar to that, that would be ideal, because it keeps doing this over and over again, and it obviously works. It obviously works. People still cannot figure it out. So, yeah, it is what it is, you know. Traded either way, like I said, though, I wouldn't marry any positions. You know, I took pretty good profits down into the golden pocket here. I've been removed out of that position. I closed it out about as soon as we started the stream, looking at what's going on here. So if we break down from here and it's over the weekend, you know, I probably won't trade it. You know, I don't trade a whole lot of weekend mess. But, you know, the setups can still be found there. Like when we broke down over the weekend and kept going, I can't remember who it was. It was OC was talking about how he wanted to happen over the weekend. So I did. I went through the order flow and showed him the previous day value area and the VWAP coming in. Oh, I've got all my yearly stuff on here, don't I? These are quarterlies. Why do I have quarterly up? Well, I think I need to change this to yearly for this to really be worth a damn. Yeah, and you can now see that the yearly is going to be quite nice. Actually, you're coming into the standard deviation now. So you break above this level, you're back above that, you can hold this. Well, am I saying you're going all the way back to 34K? No. But it would give you a nice pop up, and you can pop up above this and then give it back up. These are just these are deviation bands. They're not really great. They're not anything too special, but for the VWAP on the way down, it was just so clutch for catching shorts, right? And you could see it coming into previous day value areas where you consolidated and went sideways, and people were going, well, we're going to bounce out of here and maybe backfill the, come back and test resistance. But if you're just monitoring this in the levels that you're supposed to, you can see when you should have been taking additional shorts on the way down instead of looking for longs, because there was just nothing there until you got to these macro areas on the chart. We had lined up back in December because you have to have two plans, right? So for now, generally with Bitcoin on weekends, I don't know the actual statistics. This is an anecdotal experience. Generally on weekends when traditional markets are closed, it seems like Bitcoin likes to do a little bit of pump and dump schemes over the weekend. So based on where we are on the chart, looking for swing shorts out of this area is just really tough, especially when you're as range bound as you have been. So I would just trade the levels for what they are. If you get a pump, I would just keep in mind that taking these highs is on the agenda potentially, and you have to be able to trade those highs accordingly. So if you can't trade highs and lows based on order flow or whatever strategy you have, well, you may be best just to sit that one out. You probably shouldn't be trading actually, but is what it is.
I was actually going to say that I probably shouldn't be trading.
Well, I mean, it's true, man. Your rate of success is going to be pretty low. I wouldn't say pretty low. I would just say it's going to be average at best. And you can make money being an average trader in this market if your average win rate's 60%. As long as you have good risk management, you make money. The problem is the average trader doesn't have
triangles.
Yeah, the average trader doesn't have risk management. So even if they won 60% of their trades or even 70% of their trades, their risk management's probably so poor that their losers are going to eat up their gains. And that's a sad fact of trading, and that's part of the market, though. That's why the market's undefeated, and human emotion is what it is. So, but yeah, coming into monthly close, these are the only levels I'm watching. 29,300, a reclaim of it would be quite bullish. We've gotten the move down into the closeout that we were looking for. I was just messing around earlier. That's not anything you actually need to be aware of. That doesn't look like a good harmonic to me. This is a pretty shit impulse. But yeah, you are trading between golden pockets at the moment. That's all you've done. So break this golden pocket. Well, let's go to the highs here. Maybe backfill this NPOC. And then I think you touched on that, and then maybe come up even further. So that's all I've got going into the weekend, man. Just trading level to level at the moment, taking good trades when they're available. That's really all a person can do in this type of environment. And I know we say we're going to keep these short, so I may skip over the altcoins today. I know that's not something everybody likes to hear that, but everyone's always kind of into the altcoins, and unfortunately, altcoins are going to get just absolutely massacred for a while, it seems like, against Bitcoin. But it doesn't mean that they can't be good buys. It's just I would wait for a little more market structure confirmation and a little bit more information to come in before I started really dumping money into these things. Catching the knife is sexy when it works, but it's really kind of a shit sandwich when it doesn't, and you have to DCA into a losing position. Well, you don't have to. You could always just have a stop loss, but we both know that's unrealistic for a lot of people. So yeah, and that's not to be cynical. It's just been around for a few cycles. I've had groups with hundreds and even a couple thousand people in it that I've helped learn to trade here and there. And it's I kind of know the habits that are built. Unfortunately, we can say it as much as we want, but I'm not looking at the order flow. It looks like Rivalry's saying there's some absorption going into 29,300. So
quite a lot of delta coming in, positive delta.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. I see all the imbalances flying in here.
Oh, nice tick size that, Magic.
Oh God, I got the one tick on. We got to go back to the traditional 69.
And you need to just refresh your screen because the VWAP's playing up.
Is it? I hate how I have to do that. You even have to do it with the desktop. I haven't downloaded the desktop on this new computer yet.
Do you actually? Yeah, that's quite poor if you have to do it on the desktop as well. I thought it was just a web.
So the desktop is, if I leave the desktop up for 4 or 5 hours, and then it's like just a screen in the background, which I know I shouldn't just leave it open and running probably, but I do. Yeah, when I come back on, I'll have to refresh it to get all the information I want. This is just one of the basic templates, though. I think that you gave us, which it works quite well, actually. I mean, it gives you what you need. You don't need much anything else, you know. I'm not dogging on your stuff at all, but
no, it's all right, mate. Your pitchforks are only 3 lines.
They are only 3 lines, and you love them.
I do. Can't lie, I do.
Yeah, but this is good. You got what, increase in open interest here coming in?
Yeah, it looks strong if you can break the level.
Yeah. Well, that's all I've got. I mean, there's not much else to cover. I don't want this to go too long because these live streams tend to. I might edit the titles later because, we didn't cover any of the altcoins, but we covered them last night. So if you go back to yesterday's live stream or last night's live stream, so they're about 12 hours apart here, we cover Ethereum, XRP, Link, all those in depth. It's good stuff in there as well. So any questions from the peanut gallery before we go? All I ask is that if you guys are in the chat and you haven't already, hit the like button, maybe share it with a friend. It helps out the algorithm, and that's good for us, I suppose. Anything from you before we go?
No, all good, mate. Are we going to go? We're doing these morning streams all next week. Should we do them all next week as well?
We could do one on Monday, after, maybe a quick one, since I know we do the members live.
Yeah, well, should we just not do on the days we have members live?
Yeah. Well, I think that Monday might just be a good one to do, just to kind of get because, Monday New York Open's always fun. But maybe if we just want to sit down and if we want to trade it and not actually have to do the play-by-play.
Play it by ear.
What do I think of Solana? Solana was an easy trade. I'll cover one altcoin. We'll cover Solana because I didn't cover that last night. And there it is. You're getting like a nice, you got the PVA to the gold pocket here. Nice. Solana, we'll cover one altcoin and then we'll go. So this is the one for the day. Look at that. I will say this about my Ethereum levels. Look at those Ethereum levels. Nobody's got levels like that. You guys can just enjoy those. Those are perfect. $1,800 to the dollar, and that's an $1,800 level to the dollar. Then right here, 1730, the low on this. What's the low on that candle?
My guy requested Solana, but couldn't resist ETH brag.
Absolutely feeling myself this morning. Why not? I never do that. I never brag. Let's be real. It's always just is what it is. I think you had a better Solana chart than me. Mine was really basic though, and I gave that chart ages ago. And it's just so easy. And I don't know much about Solana as a project. I know it's getting shit on a lot by the public. Everybody's saying it's going to be the next Luna, which I have no idea. I know Solana's network has gone down a lot, so there's some people that are really kind of down on it. But we don't really trade the news; we trade the chart. So let's look at the chart if we can find it. There it is. Yeah, so we talked about Solana coming back into this range quite a while ago, and we were basing this off of a level here right around 75.35 being a very key level to hang on to. This is a very messy chart, but yeah, you've broken your trend line. That's not good. What's it look like in log? That looks worse, but you had a nice high volume node here that was forming. I believe this was a very high time frame range from quarter 3. Yeah, this was all this was just a prior range looking for this to be a bump in the road. You can see consolidation here. You got your bump in the road as soon as you gave up the zone of $75.35 to $80.83. You were looking down, and we had said that we were really looking for this region of the chart, and you've got a level at $37.60, which it did come down to $37.37. So again, TA does work. We had determined that the value area high of this range was going to be coming in here, which you can see you've now back tested. You're coming back to support, getting that secondary. So if Bitcoin pumps, I would look for this to move back to the highs of the range around $59. If Bitcoin cannot resolve this little range here, like we've been talking about, and it resolves it to the downside and it takes a stab down, the alts are going to go with it. So you have to keep that in mind. Doesn't mean you can't buy. It's just I would expect this to come down and maybe fill out some of this extra zone here. I don't think it'll fully come down to like $2 or anything. I only noted that because it is your overall point of control of the whole range. But what I would do is, make sure that I was, ready for a swing failure pattern down to this like $33 level, because even though it's only a $4 jump down in price, which for this asset at the time is, a little over 10%, you would have the opportunity of either an SFP play, which means that you go below the level, then reclaim it, which is usually a sign of strength, or you could just mark out your lows here at the bottom, and I would just have that ready and set. $23 give or take. That's Solana in a nutshell, though. So you'll probably range bound between this like 37 level and $60. A good size range, really is. But that is contingent on Bitcoin being kind of, I wouldn't say stable, but I would say a little more predictable for a while, kind of like it was up here in these areas, right, where you got like more of a giant range. If Bitcoin can put in some form of a larger range, even if it's coming back to the lows, Solana is going to give you some opportunities in between, this zone of the chart probably for a while. And putting in a range wouldn't be the worst thing for the asset if you could stick to this area of the chart. And trade the lows of the range here back to the highs of the range, one could do quite well. Otherwise, looking at this chart, I wouldn't be just blindly DCAing here. I have no interest, to be honest with you. If I'm being totally flat honest, I would probably this one anywhere under $30 is a guessing game on where you're going to end up, because it could realistically go all the way back down to here. That can happen. And you have to think, an asset like this that ran from like $1, under $1, all the way up to hundreds of dollars, and is now retraced down to 37. It's not the picture of like health and fitness. That's not a good thing. When it gets its retracement pump, it's going to be epic. The problem is, people are like, oh, we're getting our retracement pump here. And you certainly did, but did you take your profits here? Did you lock in those gains? Because it went back to a very technical level, a very high time frame level at that, off of TA. So it was something. I built this chart ages ago. I haven't updated it. I probably should, but the levels are just very easy for this. There's not as many levels, so you're going to want to hang on to this part of the chart, because I would dissect these ranges. If you lose $30 on like a closing basis and you start holding this area of the chart as resistance, I mean, the floor is pretty big. You could be DCAing into a coin that could go down like another 90%. So I would be, no, it's not going to be good for Steppen, which just got banned in Canada, I heard. So people are calling it a Ponzi scheme. I don't know anything about it, but they
all are.
Everything's a Ponzi now. But for me, am I blindly DCing into crypto? I am glad to be late to some of these altcoins to make sure that I'm not buying into what someone thinks is the low, and it's not. I am buying some cryptos, but Solana is not one of the ones I'm looking at. I don't hate the project. I don't know anything really about it, so I don't really have an opinion. It's just not something that I'm in love with in terms of charts, so I'm just not doing it. Hopefully that answers your question, man. I know that's possibly not going to help you up. 83 man moves up like a soup sandwich. Yeah, they suck as far as uptime for sure. They need to. Hey, always good to see you, crypto fan Chris. I hope you have a good day. Enjoy your Friday and have a good weekend. Same to the rest of you guys. Get outside, go see your family, do things, go see real people in real life. I know that a lot of us.
What are you on about, mate?
Yeah, what's real life? You've got some things to do tonight, don't you? You're going out, aren't you?
I'm going out tonight. I got.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
It's called La Pearl. It's like what is it? It's like how would you describe it? It's like a show where they're doing like acrobats. They used to have a death wheel, but they don't do it anymore. So, Wheel of Death.
Well, that sounds like anything like that in Kansas. I might take my kids to the farmers market. Go get some fresh jams from the old ladies. So,
told you, Magic. You need to come over here, mate.
I wouldn't know what to do with myself, man. I live a very simple life. I am but a simple man. I'm just a simple potato. But that's all I've got for you guys. I'm gonna hop off here. We'll just keep droning on.
Sweet. All good then.